All right, hello everybody and welcome. We'll give everybody a few minutes to get in here. This is the Sights and Sounds of Earth, right here on Starship Adventures. And I'm getting everything situated. Switch to live chat. There we go. All right. Welcome in, everybody.
Something whose founder is like mysterious and has billions of dollars of unused Bitcoin. Like, what is that? And no one can answer the question, including some of the biggest holders of Bitcoin in the world who I know personally. They're like, oh, it doesn't matter. It matters to me. Right?
Thank you, Tucker.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. And let me just say to the French kid, sorry I was snappy with you. But you really are the most annoying person I've ever met. I mean that. Thank you.
All right, well, there you go. A little bit of Tucker Carlson there as he was finishing up. That's being carried on Fox 4 or Fox Now, whatever it is. Wow. All right. Yeah, so not a whole lot going on tonight. I looked for protest footage, upper left. The upper left screen there, that's what I have. And the upper right. Those are purported to be live, although it's almost impossible to tell for sure. I kind of know the usual suspects, but every day there's new spoof channels coming out. And truthfully, there's about 50 of them now, and it's hard to keep them all on track. Oh no. Gold took a dive today. That sucks. Because I'm getting ready to turn some silver in next week. Not a lot. Shit, silver's down $4 an ounce. Shit. That really sucks. That just cost me about $50 from what little bit I'm going to cash in. Well, they may be overvalued, but whatever they're valued at, that's what you could get for them. I agree that the bottom could fall out at any time. That's the same with cash and anything else. But I do believe I do collect some silver. I buy it and then I give it back. I mean, to me, I use it as like a little bit of a savings account, you know. And I see we got one of the screens just went out, as usual. There's just nothing live going on tonight. Even on Bourbon Street, there's nothing going on tonight. Just taking a peek around here to see if I can find anything to put in that square. All right, I do have some news. I want to talk about 3i Atlas for a few minutes. I want to go through all the weird things that are going on with that. There's been quite a bit of interest about this, and so I do want to talk about it some tonight. Also, we do need to go in depth tonight. We've got a tropical storm out there that's going to stay around for the next 5 or 6 days in the Caribbean, or the Caribbean, depending on where you're from. And as it sits around down there, we're not really sure what it's going to do. Some models bring it into the Gulf of America, other models bring it towards Florida. Quite a few models bring it north up through the Bahamas and out into the open ocean. So we're definitely going to have to watch this one. We're going to get into that here in just a few minutes. We've been doing a lot of talk at work on the radio about the protesters. We've been playing all this sound. I'm not going to bore you guys with it. I could have brought it up here, but I can't believe all the weird things people say at these rallies. It's been kind of crazy. The coverage was good. I think we put out some good coverage. The numbers were not great. I think the reason is because everybody was out broadcasting. Everybody had channels up. Everybody had composite channels up like mine. Everybody had every kind of broadcast and news broadcast. All the news stations were broadcasting. All the spoof stations were broadcasting. And when you got down to it, when I typed "no kings" and I hit it and I hit live only, I was still getting hundreds of returns. So even though we had good coverage, good thumbnail, good title, good everything was right, it was still a rough day because it was a big crowd we were swimming around in. Yes, Wilma was an October storm, yes. Yeah, Wilma was a weird one. That's why I say weird storms. Wilma was a 5 that came off over by, came from the Yucatan, from that direction. And it came over towards Florida, and it made a beeline for southwest Florida and then started heading more towards the south. Ended up technically hitting like Marco Island, Florida, which is in Naples. However, most of the damage reports were in Dade because it was actually going extratropical as it made landfall. And the eye widened out so much that all the heavy stuff went around the bottom of the state and hit Miami. It was kind of weird. Victor, I haven't heard about that. Let me see. Yeah, I haven't seen anything on that. There was the tree stand thing from the other day, yesterday or day before. They found a tree stand in a tree with a clear sight on where Air Force One pulls into for the president to get out over in West Palm. That might be what you're thinking of. That was a little scary. Yeah, the only radar we have out here is Puerto Rico, unfortunately. And the storm's not really near Puerto Rico. So I'll have to find some other radar sites from out there. But it's down here. It really hasn't formed much yet. It's 50 miles an hour, moving west at 15, expecting to take more of a northwest turn. And then it's going to come up here, and it's gonna split the difference between Haiti and Jamaica, and it may make a run at Guantanamo Bay. There's a fairly good chance, and I think it's worth noting, but there's a fairly good chance that this thing's going to do this and just go right on out and be done with it. But it's sitting here for so long. There's some things coming up. We've got that high pressure, which will eventually build back in somewhere up here. Okay, and when that builds back in, that could cause it to go off this way. There's actually several models now that are starting to like more of this scenario. However, still, most models are in this cone right here. They're taking it in this direction. So that means it will not be a United States storm. And probably it's going to have to go over Haiti or I'm sorry, probably over Cuba, or it might split the difference here, but it's going to have land interaction here, and then it's gonna go between the Bahamas, the Turks, and the Caicos, and go on up. It could go anywhere in this area up here. But I don't think at this point, it doesn't look like it wants to make a run at Florida. Doesn't look like it wants to, but let's take a look at some other graphics, and then we're going to run some models. As you guys know, I always use spaghettymodels.com. Mike doesn't need me to mention him, but I do it anyway because I have a lot of respect for Mike. He's just like me. He's a weather enthusiast, and he's into the media, and he started doing his own thing a long time ago, and he's doing great right now. And he's made a life for himself between his website and his YouTube and his social media and everything. So I have a lot of respect for him. All right, let me say hi to everybody. Hey, Junior. Hey, Red. Hey, Sue. How you guys doing tonight? Victor, I think I said hi. Hello, Junior. And Heath. Hello, Heath. Can you believe? I can't believe how short time is running here. But I'll be leaving to come up there in 10 days. Let's see here. Victor, Bebe and John, thanks for coming in. Yep, and Canna Club and JM, there's a bunch of folks, and then I thank you everybody for being here. I do appreciate it. And Bill, thank you for being here. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look over at Mike's weather page, which is called spaghettymodels.com. Let's take a quick peeky and see what we got here. This is our latest graphic from the National Hurricane Center. And as you can see, it, as usual, I don't like their graphics, but whatever. Anyway, this thing's going to come up here, and the thing is, we don't know what's going to happen exactly because this is 5 days. This represents 5 days. Some storms travel this far in 1 day. So this is highly unusual to have a storm that just hangs around like this for so long. This is very unusual. I want you to notice that this last H right here is 2 p.m. Saturday, and then that last H right there would be 6 hours after that. So that's 8 p.m. Saturday is that last one right there. Isn't that crazy? So we're literally talking this thing sitting around from now until Sunday before it figures out what it wants to do. And it's still on Saturday evening going when everybody goes to bed Saturday night. Now remember, today's Tuesday. When everybody goes to bed Saturday night, this storm is supposed to still be down there somewhere right between Haiti and Jamaica. So this is a highly unusual situation for a storm to linger around like this, and a storm that lingers like this becomes highly unstable. It's unstable because you don't really know where it's going to go. That's pretty cool. I love the stories of the radio, old time radios, the HF stuff. Coming in handy. It still does. We still do. When there's hurricanes that come in, most areas that are prone to hurricanes, like Florida, we have the SARNet here, which is a statewide system that the state actually takes over and monitors. You can still use it to call in emergencies, though, and during emergencies, and then also the NI4CE system, which covers about a third of the state, including my part of the area here. And we've got other networks and groups and repeaters all up and down. And then we've got the 40 meter and the 20 meter hurricane watch net. And this is HF. And this is where they listen out for any distress calls that come in on that channel. And they announce and they check in with people, and they're on there talking. but if you break in with an emergency, they will answer you and get you help. So in ham radio, we have HF people receiving, and then in the affected area, you would also have VHF and UHF being used by not only the local emergency managements, which have their local ARES teams and RACES teams, which are just amateur radio teams, basically, with a little bit of training, and then you also would have, so you'd have the HF, you have the VHF with them, and then you also have your regional and your statewide channels, which some states and some regions have. So there's a lot of amateur radio stuff out there when it comes to hurricanes. All right, hey Bo, what's up? Idle hands, yeah. You know, that's the thing, especially when a smaller or weaker storm, when they don't really know where it's going to go, there's no clear steering currents, it kind of stalls. That's dangerous because it means that it's going to take off somewhere and we don't know which way. It's kind of it's kind of like a ladder, you know, when it's straight up in the air, it's in the most unstable state. And it's kind of like that way with this. When a storm reaches the point where it's not moving anymore in any direction, it's just sitting in one spot, it's unpredictable. You don't know when it's going to take off and start moving. And if a storm's chucking along at 22 miles an hour, you can kind of figure out where the hell it's going to go, no problem. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, absolutely. You're right, Bo. Idle storms are the devil's workshop. I agree. All right, so let's take a look at the graphics here. Let's run the GFS and see where we're at. This is what they call the American model. And there's our storm down there, already showing genesis. And look what this does. It takes it way over here, but then it doesn't really know what to do with it, but it does slowly take it out to sea. Bringing it down to a low of 954 millibars, Cat 2 or 3. But this is to the right of the current forecast. So let's see what the other models are doing. Let's go up here. Let's look at the CMC Global here. This is the Canadian model. And let's run this forward. Oh, look at that. That's why. See, look at that. The Canadian model takes it off to the left and off to, oh my God, what is it doing? And then off. But there, it's a Cat 2 storm at that point. Over Cuba. Mountains of Cuba take it down a little bit. Cat 3, Cat 4. No, it's a Cat. I don't know, probably a Cat 2. Probably a Cat 2. It's late in the year. You got to remember it's late in the year. Sea surface temperatures are just not that good. All right, so let me reset this. That was the Canadian. Let's do the Euro model. This is the one that everybody slang calls the Euro. And here we go. Here we go. It runs out. There it is. And I'll see the Euro kind of falls along with the forecast. This is exactly what the forecast says. 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th of October, and it's still sitting down there. That's 5 days from now, guys. That's 5 days from now. Just like the forecast says. So they like the Euro. Look at this. We are on the 26th, the 27th, and it goes all the way to the end of the model period, which is the end of the day on the 27th. Jesus. Dude, this is 6.5 days of that thing sitting in one spot. Look at that. That's almost weird. Have you ever seen a model like that before? Look at that thing. It just sits there. Okay, so let's run some of the hurricane models. Let's go. We've got some hurricane models here, so let's see what we got. There's Melissa 13L. Let's take this. Let's look at this and see what it does. All right, it doesn't move much. Deepens it down. Deepens it down. Ooh, 969, 967, 959. And that's the end. That's as far as it goes. That's the 27th. So I'm telling you guys, the 27th, what are we talking? Monday of next week? What is that? The 27th is Monday of next week. So Monday of next week, they're calling for a Cat 2 storm, maybe a 3, to be sitting right here between Jamaica and right on the southern tip of Haiti. That's going to be great. The mud huts do so well in hurricanes. Look at that. It just sits there. It keeps it as a fairly compact storm. Okay, so let's look at another one here. Let's run this back. Let's go to this one here and let's run this one. Okay, here we go. Let's see what this one's going to do. Same thing, holds it nearly in position, fades it off to the left as it grows on the 27th again. That's Monday of next week. A strong 2 or a weak 3, sitting out in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. That's why I'm saying this one is worth watching. The models are all the F over the place. This is another one here, and it tries to develop it and move it just off to the left a little bit. So in other words, there is no steering currents at all. This thing, every model doesn't know exactly where, but it just knows it's going to meander around out there somewhere. So again, this is a weird scenario. End of the season. I don't think it's going to be a Florida storm. I don't think it's going to be a Gulf of America storm. Good evening, Wayne. Good evening, citizen. That's from Starship Troopers. Anyway, by the way, Starship Troopers, what a great movie. I mean, it's corny and great. I love it. It's just one of my favorite off-brand sci-fi movies. See, the GFS wants to take it out. I don't like these zoomed in models. That's why I try to stay away from them. All right, whatever. That'll work for now. The point is I just wanted to show you guys. I don't know what this thing's gonna do. Let me show you the models. You're gonna shit yourself. Look at this. That's why I said I don't know what this thing's gonna do. The models don't know what this thing's gonna do. No one has any clue what this damn thing's gonna do. It's literally like making its own way. And by the way, all these models that start showing it moving here, that's all 5 and 6 days out. Except this red one right here, which that red one is that's what the GFS is kind of showing. But I don't think we're going to see that. I think that'll end up getting corrected. Generally, when you have one outlier, it generally will, on the next big run, it will come more back into uniformity. But the one thing I'm seeing here that I didn't see before, which is important, is let's split the difference here. That's about the main line right there. About half of these models are south of that line. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 models to the left of that line, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, say 7 or 8. So yeah, pretty much that's the main line right there, the midline, okay, that what I just drew in purple. And so there's a 50-50 shot it's going to end up over here somewhere in 5 days. And there's a 50-50 shot it's going to end up somewhere in here in 5 days. And where that ends up is going to be a big deal. Because if it ends up able to follow one of these tracks here, like this green one, and work its way off over here and then get kicked north, now we've got a problem. I don't think that's going to be the scenario, but that if it did get over in this area, this is a potential scenario because it's going to want to go north and east. It's going to want to go up and out. That's what it wants to do. So because of that, okay, you can rest assured at some point it's going to go up and to the right. So I don't think it's going to be able to get over far enough. I just don't. So I don't think this is a U.S. storm at this point. But I will also tell you, these late season storms they're willy, they're weird. Here's some more model runs. This is the GEFS models. Look at this. And remember, in this model, you can tell how strong it thinks the storm is going to be by the color of the line. If the line gets down here where it's purple like this is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm telling you guys, this is one worth watching. See this purple line right here? See how it turns that crazy, weird, dark color right there? That's a Category 5 storm. So that's why I'm saying, okay, I'm not trying to alarm anybody, because this is 7, 8, 9 days out here. Because it's going to meander down there forever, and God knows what's going to happen. I'm just showing this because I want you to remain aware of this storm. A lot of people have put the shit away and figured hurricane season was over. I don't necessarily think that might be the case at this point. I don't think that this is going to... my bets are on not a United States storm, but I think it's about, I don't know, 60-40 at this point. No, I don't think so, Deploramus. I haven't seen that yet, Victor. I'm going to have to check that out. Are you sure it's not a spoof? They've been trying to remake and remake and remake and remake and remake, and it's just nothing's happened. I've almost given up on the whole thing. I don't think there'll be any more Stargate. But anyway, there is several models here. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 models that take this up to Cat 4 as it hits Cuba. So I mean, Cuba definitely should be watching this thing. Any one of those could be a major hurricane strike on Cuba. And then you got a few that just meander off over here. You got 4 or 5 of them that just kind of go off, like just... So who knows what this thing's going to do? The black line, that's your midline. So on this set, the actual average does want to still tend to take it off straight up into the ocean, into the Atlantic. All right, let's look at, here's our last grouping. And again, this grouping brings a lot of them right near the Keys. Oh, look who's here. It's Mama Bleep. Mama Bleep, what you doing? Guys, for those that don't know, I'm going to tell you real quick, this is my sick cat. She got a sinus thing and she disappeared on me for 5 days. I thought she was dead. She come wandering back up here all emaciated. So I cleaned her up and I've been giving her water and food and a little litter box, and she's been living in the shack. She lives in the studio. She's a TV cat. What can I tell you? And so now she lives in here with me, and I'm nursing her back to health. And as of today, I picked her up, and I can tell she's putting a little bit of weight back on. She's drinking a lot. She's drinking a whole bowl of water in 2 days, and she's getting there. She's eating lots of wet food, and she's even eating the dry food pretty quickly. So I know she's recovering. It's amazing. They go down quick, and they go down hard, but they heal, they recover at probably 2 or 3 times the rate we do once they get it underway. Yeah, she is. She's a happy cat. She was completely feral when she walked up to my house, and then after we started feeding her and taking care of her, she wandered up one day, and she's bringing kittens to us. And once she saw us take care of her kittens, she just became lovable like this. I've never seen a transformation like that, because she was completely feral. But those hormones, I mean, she knew she had to get help for them kittens, and she brought them to us. She brought them in and put them in, like, literally right next to where we were. And we heard them, and we opened it. Oh my God, there they are. And then she's standing there, and she's watching us with them. And we're taking care of them, and we're cleaning them, and we went and got and she just came up and laid down and started nursing them right in front of us. I've never seen. It's a thing that happens sometimes with feral female cats. When they need help with the babies, it changes their whole thinking on humans. But now, this is the 3rd major illness she's had in her 6 or 8 or 10 years, or however. She's 8 or 9 years old. This is her, probably her 3rd major illness. And she does manage to make it through, don't you? Huh? Don't you? Yeah. She's a good one. All right, let's see what else we got here over on Mike's weather page. So the intensity forecasting, well, look at this. This to me, this late in the season, is again anomalous. That's why, again, this thing, I don't know what it's going to do. Look at this. At 132 hours out. Now, this is right when it's sitting off the point. It's going to be sitting right down there near Haiti and Jamaica. It's going to be sitting down there. This model thinks it's not even going to be a tropical storm. These 4 or 5 models think it's going to be a Category 5 storm. It's rare to see models this far out predicting a 5. Rare. Especially when the sea surface temperatures aren't that good. So I don't know what's going on. I'm telling you, this could just be an anomaly. Again, the whole thing's weird. But we've got a lot of models. We got a lot of models here that are taking this up into the 4 and 5. Remember, anything over 3 is a major hurricane. About almost half, right at half of the, actually more than half, I'm sorry, more than half of these models take this into the major hurricane range. Again, this is late in the year for this kind of bullshit. I don't know what else there is here to see. And I will say this, I agree with Mike. I think Melissa is probably going to be the last hurrah of the year. I don't see anything else. There's nothing on the models. There's nothing hinting out 14 days. This is probably it. This is the last hoorah, I think, right now. I think we're actually seeing it. The global warming, yeah. The climate disruption, folks, they're always wanting bad weather so they can say, see, I told you. Whatever. You're in Eastern Oregon. Oh, I hear it's beautiful. Just don't go anywhere near Portland. Um, yeah, I think this winter is going to be colder than normal. All indicators right now, everything from the Farmer's Almanac to the long range forecasting out of NASA, everything's forecasting a somewhat colder than normal year, and I think that's what we're probably looking at. We've had a earlier than normal fall down here. We've rainy season tapered off a few weeks early, 3 weeks early. We had our first dry front about 3 to 3.5 weeks early. And we've had our first cold front about 3 weeks early. Now we're getting ready to have technically our second front. And normally we would just now be maybe thinking about our first one. So we're definitely ahead down here. I know up in the mountains, the leaves are 2 to 2.5 weeks ahead on when they're changing normally on the annual schedule. And also they've had some pretty cold nights there already in the mountains down where they got frost. So I'm really starting to think it's all indicators, and some of that's anecdotal and some of it's not. But I do believe with all the indicators I've been seeing and everything else, yes, we're going to definitely have more than likely a colder than normal winter this winter. And I will cover winter storms. I'll cover ice storms. I'll cover whatever. I've got some interesting resources for that kind of stuff, just like I do for everything else. And we would cover that with graphics and all that kind of good stuff. It would be good. So I will cover winter storms, just like I cover anything else. All right, let's see here. What else do I think that's about it. There's not a lot, really a lot more to talk about. It's going to bring torrential flooding to Haiti, possibly Jamaica, but Jamaica will be on the clean side. But man, oh man, I mean, Haiti could really see some torrential rains. In fact, let's take a look at this is the key messages from the National Hurricane Center. Melissa is expected to bring heavy rainfall and the risk of significant flash flooding and the danger of landslides to portions of Haiti, the Dominican Republic through the weekend. Hurricane conditions are possible in the southwestern peninsula of Haiti, where a hurricane watch is already in effect. Tropical storm watch is in effect for Jamaica. Preparations to protect life and property should be completed by Thursday. There is significant uncertainty in the track and intensity forecast of Melissa. That's what I've been saying. We've got more uncertainty than we normally would deal with. Interest elsewhere in Hispaniola and Cuba should continue to monitor the latest, the latest forecast. Rainfall totals, I mean, they're talking on some parts of Haiti there could easily see 12 plus inches of rain. That's quite a bit. All right, so anyway, that's what there is for that. There's not a whole lot else. Let me see. Get out of. All right, there we go. That's really all I have. Remember, the sea surface temperatures are down, and so there you go. With the sea surface temperatures down, we're likely not to get quite as explosive of growth. I don't know. That's why when it starts talking about Cat 3, Cat 4, it's like, holy crap. Deploribus. I know, tell me about it. It's like, okay, I retired. That's the last time I go out in the snow. I love snow because I'm from Florida. I was born in Florida, South Florida, and we saw a flurry here one time in the spotlight on my cop car. Other than that, we never saw snow. My first ski trip, I was 25 years old. I had planned this whole ski trip, and we went, and I got to see snow, and it was amazing. Deborah, thanks for joining the crew. Welcome aboard. I hope you enjoy it. This is Starship Adventures, and we're on every night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Well, at least most of the time. I want to let you guys know a couple of programming notes, okay? This coming weekend, I don't know if there'll be any action on Saturday or not, but I'm going to be monitoring in the studio most of the day on Saturday, this coming Saturday. So even though it's the one day I sometimes don't come on, I will be here monitoring. If anything happens or if it gets busy, I'll go ahead and go live. Even during the day, like I did this last Saturday, I went live at noon and stayed live till almost midnight, and then we cleared and came back for 2 more hours on a second stream. So also the 2-stream thing worked. We had a hard time getting people to go over to the backup channel. I don't know what it is about the backup channel. It's very hard to get people to go over there and to like and subscribe. But I'm going to keep trying, and hopefully I figured if I put up a second feed and I kept letting people know, you know, hey, we've got another whole feed over here. You can still hear me, but it's different. But we just didn't get that many people. Now, there was a bunch of you did go over there and keep it up, because there was like 12 or so people that stayed on there the whole day. So we got some good numbers out of it. You know, we got some good numbers out of it. We did get about, I think, 40 or 50 subs over there. But anyway, there's the link to Starship After Dark. That's our backup channel. Don't hit the bell over there. Just subscribe. Hit the bell here, because everything I do on Starship After Dark, on Starship Adventures, this channel, everything I do on this channel is live hosted content. The other channel has all kinds of stuff on it, so don't hit the bell over there. It'll drive you nuts. Yeah, we'll check that, because we're pretty much done with this. But yeah, anyway, Starship After Dark, check that out. And here, let me see if I can just get my... All right, here's our seismic monitor. Wow, there we go. The Pacific Ring of Fire. Looks like a 5.1 down there in the southern islands down there. Another one near Fiji. It's 5.1 again. Oh, that's a 4.4. And then a 5, New Britain region. And then, of course, look at there's even some over in the Middle East. This is northern and central Iran, and also a 5.1 in Afghanistan. So there's a bunch of them today. You're right. Here's a 5.1 near the East Coast. That's Kamchatka. That is the peninsula that comes off of the right side of Russia. And that's where that big one, that huge 8-something happened that caused that tsunami that we stayed up for all night. And then, yeah, we've got some over here too. There's in Peru, Ecuador region, there's a 5.5. 5.5 is pretty good. 5.5 will shake the foundation of houses, cause concrete damage, and even cause old buildings to collapse and things like that. Oh wow. The most snow I've seen at my cabin up in Blairsville, Georgia is 7 inches. It was 7 full, very wonderful inches of snow. It made everything so beautiful up there. It was absolutely amazing. See if I can find something else here real quick. It's amazing how it almost seems like it literally like hides your own shit from you or something. I don't. I'm trying to find something that's literally one of my own videos, but it's from an older channel, and I can't find it. It's all right though. It's not a big deal. It's okay. All right, yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. So anyway, let me see if I can. I'll find that video. I've actually got a video of my cabin in the snow, 7 feet on the ground, snow still coming down, and I went out with my then high definition video camera, which I still have, but I don't use anymore because my phone takes just as good a video. But I went out and put that on a tripod, and I took 5-minute shots, static shots of my cabin, and then I spliced it all together. And now, at Christmas time, my family puts that up on the 70-inch TV in the living room. So even though we're here, our cabin is up on the big TV with the snow coming down and the Christmas music playing, and it's just something we do because I don't know, we love our cabin and we all want to be there, but we can't all be there. So yeah, I'm not doing any land investing right now. I don't have any money for that, but no. I don't know about Saturday. Saturday, I'm going to be working in here. I've got a lot to do in here. I'm leaving on my trip the following Friday. I will be leaving a week from this coming Friday. I'm going to be doing some live streaming on the way up. There will not be a Sights and Sounds. That was the programming note I was telling you earlier, and I got sidetracked. I am going to be off the Sights and Sounds of Earth while I'm gone. It's going to be more hit and miss. It's not going to be 9 p.m. every night. I may come on sometimes, but I'm not going to be able to do the multi-screen and all that. So I'll come on for an hour and do updates or whatever. But I don't have the internet for it up there. The internet's real sketchy up there. So I'm thinking, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work, but we're going to do Sights and Sounds through Thursday night next week. So you got through this Thursday, and then until next Thursday, I'll be doing the regular Sights and Sound show every night, with maybe the possibility of not doing it on Saturday night, but I'll be doing it just about every night. Then when we get down to Friday, a week from this coming Friday, I will not be doing the Sights and Sounds on a regular basis for 10 days. There's going to be 10 days where I'm going to be coming on hit and miss. I'm going to be doing POTA. Saturday, November 1st, I'm going to be live casting from a ham fest called the Stone Mountain Ham Fest in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm going to be live there with Heath, and we're going to be broadcasting live from the event. I'm going to be, and then after that, him and I are going to be working on my car. We've got some stuff to do to that. I'm going to shoot some of that. If we've got internet, I may just go live with that. I don't know. And we're going to do all kinds of neat stuff. We're going to go out and work a lot of POTA. I'm going to show you guys the Sights and Sounds up there in Georgia. However, that said, I'm not going to be able to keep a regular schedule, and I'm not going to be able to do the multi-screen broadcast for those 10 days. So I'm just letting everybody know it's going to be a change. For 10 days, we go to an erratic, crazy schedule, but I'll still be doing a lot of stuff on YouTube. I'll be coming on probably more than I have been, because I'll still be coming on once or twice a day, even. I'm going to do live drives. When we're on the way up there, I'm going to wait. But as we get closer, like as I get closer to Atlanta, I'm going to go live, and I'm going to do a live drive, and I'm going to live drive right through the middle of Atlanta. I've already decided I'm going to do it. Yes, we are a representative republic. That is a correct fact. We are not a democracy. We are a representative republic. If we were a democracy, we would have to vote on everything. Instead, we elect representatives to represent us, and therefore we are a representative republic. It actually works better in the long run. Okay. All right, give me just a second here. Man, my typing gets worse every year. Jesus. I had like 9 spelling errors. Okay, anyway. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, and I've been on coming up on an hour here. Probably going to do a little while longer with you guys. Dominic, I agree. I did the same thing about 2 years ago. Sat down and read that one cover to cover, and it's a good one. It makes you really appreciate how smart these guys were back then. That they wrote such a timeless document that even 200 years later, no big deal, we're still using the Constitution and it still works. Even though we have an internet now, the First Amendment still works. Even though we have all kinds of crazy guns and gadgets and zats and tasers, and even though we got everything in the world now, the Second Amendment still works. Even though we have all kinds of electronic ID and everything else out there now, Fourth Amendment still works. It's amazing that they wrote such an amazing, timeless document. I love our Constitution. It truly is what makes America great. Wayne, there's probably got to be one somewhere, I would think. But I don't know. What are we doing, Grok? What happened? Wow, it's like it son of a bitch. Oh man, god damn it. was weird. It's actually doing it this time. Well, there we go. What? Oh yeah, turns out. Sorry, I love watching Grok come up with shit because it's like it went on the wrong track for a minute and then it managed to get itself back on the right thing again. Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about Atlas. Okay, so as we know, this is the third confirmed interstellar object that we know of. They've been coming through for 1,000,000 years, but this is only the third one that we've been able to positively identify as an interstellar object. Now, understand something. We have rocks and planetoids and all kinds of stuff that have been hurled away from our solar system. Okay? Most of them will eventually turn around and come back in the form of an asteroid or a comet, or it'll end up out in one of the belts or something out there. Okay? But those are originating from here. A few of them will actually achieve enough speed to reach escape velocity, and they'll actually be able to go so far out into space that the sun completely loses gravitational influence on it. Once that happens, it has become an interstellar object. Well, this object that's coming through now, 3I Atlas, had achieved that breakaway speed, if you will, from wherever it's from, because it managed to travel through open space until it arrived here. And it has enough speed that it will traverse our solar system, leave out the other side of our solar system, and have enough continued inertia to again reach escape velocity and continue on as an interstellar object. Some of the things that have been strange about this thing, some of the weird occurrences, like even the other interstellar objects showed a tail. This thing originally appeared completely tailless, which again was an interesting thing. As an object gets closer to our sun, there'll be a subluxation, which will create an off-gassing of vapors and things like that. And when that happens, it creates a coma and a tail and all that kind of stuff. There is some of the scientists at Harvard are now suggesting this may indicate that it may not be a natural comet, but an artificial probe of some kind, as natural outgassing should produce a visible comet tail. Conspiracies claim that it could be some kind of way that they're cloaking what's actually there. Another strange thing about this is that it's on a hyperbolic orbit, okay? If it was on an elliptical, that would be a parabolic orbit. It's on a hyperbolic orbit, meaning that it's going to come through and it's going to go out. And like I said, it's going to be able to, again, reach escape velocity. But here's the weird thing. All of our planets are aligned on a disk. Okay? This thing could have come from any direction, but the way it came, it's coming right along our disk. So that way it would come close to 3 different planets. It's almost like it was planned that way. That's like a 1 in 50,000 chance that it would be along our plane, basically. The trajectory lies unusually flat within the elliptic plane of the planets, unlike most comets that approach from steep angles. Okay, let's see. Okay, there's also been this development of an anti-solar tail. This is something that scientists don't know what it is. They've never seen this before. I thought at first maybe the object is applying some kind of thrust so that it can slow down. But it doesn't seem that there's any change in speed. But there is an anti-tail. It's basically an anti-solar tail. It's a tail that points towards the sun, which is highly unusual. The tail usually points in the direction that it's coming from. This tail points towards the sun, which is a very strange thing. Some conspiracy theories feel that this could be some kind of propulsion exhaust, some kind of anti-thrust that's being applied to slow it down. If you were going to do that, then you would apply that thrust in the front, in the direction that it's moving in order to slow it down. Some thinks that may be what this is. The emissions coming off of this thing, there's something very, very unique about it. As you guys know, most things in our galaxy, in our solar system that we know of, most of them are made up primarily of some of the metals that they're made up of nickel, nickel emissions. I'm sorry, I lost my position here. Nickel, iron. So you've got nickel and you've got iron. These are the 2 most common metals found in the planet and in other things we find in other planets. Nickel, iron, nickel, iron. Well, whatever this is out there, the emissions that we're able to run wavelength tests on and stuff like that, they're showing high nickel emissions with no iron present. That almost cannot be done in nature, from what we understand, in this solar system. Now, of course, we're applying a science in a different solar system. It may not even work that way in that wherever it's from. I don't know. Who knows how that even works? But basically, normally you would see nickel and you would see iron together. They would be released together. We're only seeing one and not the other, and we're seeing lots of the one and none of the other, which is highly unusual. And it would be very rare, if ever, that would happen in nature. That's generally something that would take an intelligence in order to manipulate it to be one without the other. Spectral data showed industrial grade nickel alloy signatures with nickel dominant and very, very little iron detected at all. Very unusual for natural comets, remnants of an extraterrestrial manufacturing process, or maybe the external panels on the ship made of one substance but not the other. Emissions of cyanide and carbon dioxide, but minimal water and ice. Verified. Early outgassing favored CO2 and cyanide over water, differing from typical solar system comets. In this solar system, the number one thing our comets usually give off is water vapor. This one, not so much. It's giving off a lot of carbon dioxide and cyanide, a lot more than it's giving off of water, which is, again, it's not from here. It's very different. It may have originated in a carbon-rich system. Sudden appearance of a 6,000 kilometer long tendril structure. This has been unverified based on X reports and amateur analysis. Some observations claim a thin, elongated feature has appeared and is not being explained by standard models. Fragmentation events or ion trails, alien tentacles for sampling solar winds or communication. Nobody knows what this is. It could just be an anomaly, but some of the photographs that are being taken are showing some kind of thing sticking off this thing. This is verified. The IAWN launched a global astronomy campaign in November. Let's see. Testing protocols and anomalies. This is just NASA is prepping stuff, and we don't know what it is. And some people are wondering if it has something to do with 3i Atlas. I'm not going to get into all the deep conspiracies. Sequence pulses at 1420 megahertz. That's the hydrogen line. And this brings me to another thing. Do you guys remember the WOW signal? Years ago, many years ago, a scientist was observing radio telemetry coming back from open space, and we received what we thought was some kind of radio signal, and he wrote on the paper "wow," and that's why it became known as the WOW signal. It was determined that they believed that this didn't come from another solar system, that it in fact came from something that was an interstellar that was moving between solar systems. And guess what? The course it came from is near the course that AI Atlas came from. Did AI Atlas send the WOW signal? That's crazy if you think about it. You know what the odds are that this would come from nearly the same, almost the same pinpoint in space that we received that WOW signal from? And we determined years ago that the WOW signal was probably sent from something interstellar, not from a solar system. That is scary. That tells me that WOW signal may have come from this interstellar object. So that's an interesting little bit there. Maybe it's a garbage scow. Yeah. You're probably thinking Star Trek 4. Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, the one with the whales. Everybody calls that movie, the one with the whales. That was Star Trek 4. The funniest of all the movie outings and a good movie. But yeah. One of my favorite scenes is Scotty talking to the computer. And he goes, use the mouse. And he picks up the mouse and he goes, Hello, computer. I just love that. And Bones is like, should we give him how to make transparent aluminum? And Scotty's like, why not? How do we know he didn't invent the thing? That was a good movie. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there is apps you can get for your phone that will allow your phone to do time lapse. And then what you do is you just like save your old phone, get you a new phone, and then you can use your old phone to start taking time lapse and stuff. There's also an application that I have in mind called lightning photography, and you stick this app in your phone, and when lightning comes, you hit a button, and it will sit there with the shutter open, and when it captures the lightning, it will take the picture and save it for you. And yeah, a lot of times it's just a white screen, but sometimes you get some really cool lightning shots. I like using that one too. There's also one for taking pictures of celestial objects, and it's one where you put it on a tripod, and it will actually take 100 pictures, and it will layer them on top of each other and make one picture with a higher exposure rate. There's a lot of really cool apps out there that kind of get you over some of the shortcomings of a small lens package, but a good phone. See, your phone has a great camera and a mediocre lens package. That's why when you see these photographers with these big lenses, the lens makes so much difference. You know, it's kind of like with ham radio. You can have the best radio in the world, or you can have a piece of crap radio. It really makes the difference, the antenna. Is it high? Is it a good antenna? Is it tuned properly? That's the most important thing. The radio's kind of extenuous. Almost any radio will get you by. And it's kind of the same thing with that. It's time for some colorful metaphors. You know the guy on the bus that had that music playing? And he's like, better up the head, that song. And that guy actually wrote that song. And they asked him to put on all that stuff and to do the bit on the bus. And he did it. But he actually wrote that stupid song for that movie. It was pretty funny. But yeah, maybe it's time for another colorful metaphor. Yeah, that's a great movie. Star Trek II will for always be the best movie ever made in human mankind history, but there was some other really good ones, and 4 and 6 were both really good ones. Undiscovered Country was really good too. The rest of them were okay. They were good movies. Star Trek movies are kind of like Windows versions. Every other one's okay. Every other one's really good. 2, 4, 6. Who's counting? Anyway, a garbage scow. And that always reminds me of The Trouble with Tribbles. Or Trials and Tribulations from Deep Space Nine will get you there too. When they all get in trouble. Because they called the Enterprise a garbage scow. And so they all took to fighting over it. What you doing, baby girl? You alright? You hanging in there? She's like, yeah, I could probably get used to this indoor life shit. She stays in here every now and then overnight and stuff, but not normally with a litter box and not normally much. She just comes in for an hour and leaves normally. But since she got sick, she's living in here. I haven't let her out, and she hasn't asked to go out. I left at a really nice day on Sunday, and I left the door open, and she went out and walked around for a few minutes and came back in. You okay? What happened? What happened to you? Oh God, did you break anything? She fell off the counter. Onto the floor, hard too, but she seems alright. They don't get hurt like we do. If that's the equivalent of a 5 or 6 foot drop for me, and that would have probably killed me. I'd have broke a hip. I would love to have seen 2 more seasons of the original series. However, that being said, it's important to note that all the really good episodes, with 1 or 2 exceptions, were written during the first 2 seasons. Now, when they were writing the 3rd season and when they were shooting the 3rd season, they pretty much knew they were already canceled. And they kind of phoned it in. They brought in Fred Freiberger. He's the series ender. After he got done shutting down Star Trek, he went over and shut down Space 1999, did the last season of that too. I don't hold any hard feelings. In both cases, he was handed a shit deck of cards. But the point is Star Trek was in bad shape coming out of season 3. And so had they done a season 4, they would have needed to step the game back up again, because 3 was not that good because the funding was cut way back. They changed the lighting. They changed a couple things about the way they shot it. But the biggest thing was they cut back the budget. And but also the writing. They cut back on some of the writing. And that sucks, because they didn't have near the quality of writing they had in the first 2 seasons. And so that's why you ended up with Plato's Stepchildren, and you ended up with Spock's Brain, and some really shit, terrible episodes in that 3rd season that are just really not worth watching at all. So it is what it is. I would hope that had they not canceled it, maybe the 3rd season would have been better, because they would have thought they weren't getting canceled, and maybe the 4th season would have been better too. That would have been good. Truthfully, The Next Generation, its best seasons were 4 and 5. It came into its own. And Deep Space Nine, some of its best episodes, 3 seasons, 4, 5, 6, even some 7. Voyager really didn't get that good until 4, but 4, 5, 6, 7, great in Voyager. So yeah, I would have loved to see, like with Enterprise, I'd have loved to have seen 1 more season on Enterprise to see what could have happened. I would have loved to have seen the 2 or 3 more years on Star Trek, the original series. I absolutely would, but only if they were going to put the time, energy, and money into it, and not half-ass it like they did in the final season of The Next Generation, or the final season of, believe it or not, the original series. That last season, that 3rd season, was just not that good. It just was some shit writing. There's still a few good episodes though, but still some shit writing. The Next Generation, believe it or not, that last season did not have good writing. Yeah, me too. Yeah, so it was not, but you have to remember the difference also. Back then, a season was 24 episodes. 24 episodes was a standard season. Some did 22, some did 26. But for the most part, everybody shot 24 episodes. Today's standards, it takes them 18 months to turn out 10 episodes. So 3 seasons back then would be 7 seasons today. So you have to look at it that way. Discovery, we were getting maybe 10 episodes a season. Strange New Worlds, 10, and now I hear in the next one we're only getting 6. We're getting 10 for season 4 and 6 for season 5. In the old days, they would have done 26. It takes them, for what they used to do in 1 year, it's now taking them 4 years to do it. It's terrible. What are we doing? Yeah. Star Trek Strange New Worlds. It's an 18-month shooting cycle, and you get 10 episodes. Back then, it was a 12-month shooting cycle. In other words, back then, they did it like a daisy wheel, okay? If you could picture a big wheel, okay? You had rough drafts. That was the first week. They were trying to figure out which script we're going to figure out. Go through all the scripts, figure out what script we're going to do next, what script. Then we go to week 2. That's where we start rewriting that script. We've picked our script. Now we're rewriting the script. We're getting it massaged, getting it good. Boom, we go into final script. And at the same time we're in final script, we're starting to work with the people that fit the uniforms. We're starting to work with the set people. And we're having meetings with set people to let them know what set pieces we're going to need and this and that. And then finally we get up to here. We get into scripting. And we're starting to get now down here with lighting people. We're readdressing with the set people what set designs we need. We're going to need pistols for the bad guys, whatever. And this is a daisy wheel that goes around. And finally you've got the script reading and everything else. And it goes around. And sometimes it was an 8-month process. And it literally started with what I just told you, and it works this way all the way around this process, where they would shoot for 6 or 7 days, and then they would get a day off, and then they would come back and start shooting for 6 or 7 days again on episode 2. And then, sometimes they wouldn't even get a day off. Sometimes they'd roll right into the next one, and they would just keep it going. And then as soon as the principal shooting was done, then the next week, that episode moves to the next one, which is post-production. It goes into post-production. So now post-production starts making all the space shots, making the ship flybys and all the different things that has to happen. And then eventually it gets into post-editing, and we start editing the space shots in with the other shots and all this. And this whole process just keeps working its way around. And finally, at the very end, 9 months later, you have a finished product. And the reason they did 24 months was because they would run those twice a year. 24 months, right? 24 episodes, right? They would start running those in the spring season. And they would run 24 episodes. And then there was a week taken off for the big movie of the week or Christmas or whatever it was. And then you would go back and you would show the same 24 episodes again. And then that would bring you back to the top of the year again, where you would take 1 week off for Christmas. And then you would start in January with your new lineup or whatever. It worked out every year to where you had 2 seasons. Some shows would show the season before's reruns during rerun time. Others would show the same episodes again during rerun time. It all depended on how they do it, but the main thing was they shot the 24 episodes right up front. They shot them right up front. There's your 24 episodes. That's good for 1 year. That's 1 year's worth of episodes. And then the studio goes, thank you. Now make me 24 more. And then they turn around and they literally reset the daisy wheel back to 1 again, and they start making them. All right, what scripts do I have? Let's do rough scripts. And we start. And meanwhile, while they're starting the daisy wheel again, the actors and the lighting people and all these people, they've got time off, because when the last episode finally made it through shooting, all the actors were then told, look, you're off. You get 3 months off. And now you're off for 3 months. And then it gets down to the people that do the space shots. Once the last space shot's done, boom, you guys are gone. 3 months. And it works its way around. And then finally, when they reset that daisy wheel again, over here with the script people, those script people have been off for 3 months. They're just now coming back to work. They were the first ones to get off when their final episode came by them on the daisy wheel. That's how it works. And that's how they used to produce television, and they just don't do it that way anymore. It's they're trying to make movies instead of TV. It's just I don't know what to say. It's bullshit. And I don't think what they're producing's any better. I love Strange New Worlds, but even with all the graphics and everything else, I think the writing was probably better on some of the older stuff. But anyway, that's how it used to work, and everything was set up on spring season, fall season, and 24 episodes would get you through the year, because it was 52 weeks. So if you had 24, that would give you a total of 48 if you played them twice, and that would give you the 2 or 3 bye weeks you needed to get through the holidays, because on Christmas week they wouldn't play one. On New Year's week they might not play one. Depending on how the year worked out, you need 3 or 4 bye weeks, and so that schedule would give you your bye weeks. Some networks, like 1 year of Star Trek, they did 26 episodes, I think. So I mean, it used to happen. Also, there was a writer's strike during Next Generation. One of their seasons only has like 19 episodes. It was kind of rare back then, but yeah. So there's a short season in there. I think Enterprise had a little bit of a short season too at some point. But the point is they don't do it this way no more, and it sucks. Everything just worked back then, and they could churn out. It was like a factory. It was literally like a TV episode factory, and it would go down the production line just like any car or anything else would start with the frame rails, okay, and then it would get, the next person would put all the adapter pieces on there, and then the next person would come and put all the rubber washings on there, and then the next person would come, and before long you're building a car. And that's exactly how they used to make TV. Like, it was something like a Ford Motor Company assembly line for television, and now it's just something totally different. Kami Memdami. I call him Dumb Kami Memdami, but yeah, however you want to pronounce it. Yeah, they had a letter writing campaign that Gene Roddenberry himself took some part in, but they actually did a letter writing campaign, and they did get it to come back for the 3rd season. Unfortunately, it was a shit time slot. They did not pay the writers much. They cut way back on the budget, but that 3rd season saved Star Trek, and I'll tell you why. It takes 3 seasons to syndicate. They want 75 episodes to syndicate. That's why a lot of these shows, like The Bionic Woman and stuff like that, shows that only had a couple of years. I'm not even sure about that one. But some of these shows that only had like 2 years, like Space 1999, like the original Battlestar Galactica, they only had 2 years of production. And so they never actually made mainstream syndication. Now, they were later syndicated. You know what they would do with them? they would show them at like midnight on Saturday night. Because then, even though there's only 50 episodes, let's say, like Space 1999, I think there's like 53 episodes or something. If you're only showing it once a week, 53 episodes gets you an entire year of television. And so that's what they would do. They late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s for sure, they started taking some of these non-syndicated sci-fi shows, ones that didn't quite make the syndication threshold like Star Trek did, because Star Trek had 3 seasons. It made the threshold. It's always been syndicated, and it made its comeback in syndication. When it left the air, it wasn't that popular, but then in syndication it became very popular. But then later on, these stations started picking up some of these older sci-fi shows like Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, Space 1999, the original Battlestar Galactica, all worth watching if you're into old sci-fi. But they picked up these shows and started paying them on Saturday and Sunday nights. They did the same thing with Star Trek for a while. I used to stay up until midnight on Saturday and Sunday nights and watch the sci-fi shows. Sometimes there was 2 hours of sci-fi shows. They would show a Star Trek and then a Battlestar, or a Star Trek and then a Space 1999, and I would stay up, and then my parents would go to bed, and I would roll up a towel and stick it under the door so they wouldn't see the light on in my room, and I would go and turn my TV on, and I would sit there and intently watch those old science fiction shows. I just loved them. And of course, I call them old. At the time, they were only 15 or 20 years old. They weren't that old back then. But back then, you didn't own your media like you do today. There was no internet. I had no VCR machine. I used to tape them on audio tapes and listen to them at night when I go to sleep. I had a little pillow speaker, and I'd lay there and listen to Star Trek episodes and go to sleep. My buddy's mom bought a VHS recorder, and they rented a movie on the way home to watch in this brand new VHS recorder. And then when they went to bed, I taped Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan on it. That was the first thing it ever recorded. It was a top loader. It was one of those really big ass top loaders, man. Anyway, UFO, I think UFO is made by the same people that made Space 1999, I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. Yeah, and they would repeat in the summer. They would, because the best TV was in the winter, because all the people up north were stuck inside. So they would do a lot of these networks would play their best shit in the wintertime. And then, yeah, summer became repeat summer. That's exactly how they did it. And Canna, I know I'm switching back and forth here, but just so you know, I think that commie's going to actually get elected. I do. Believe it or not, Trey Radel, and he's announced this is public knowledge. Trey Radel works on the Sliwa campaign. He actually does all Curtis Sliwa's video stuff and makes all his ads and everything. He knows Curtis Sliwa personally. He likes him. I like the guy. But 1 in 7 people in New York is a Republican. It's such an uphill battle for Curtis Sliwa. Then you got Mario Como, the hair sniffer. This guy, he's a pervert. He's a real piece of shit. Many New Yorkers really don't want that pervert back in there. They really just don't like this guy. And then you've got Kami Memdami, that's a communist. He's a Middle Eastern-born Muslim communist that wants to socialize grocery stores. You heard it here first, folks. He wants to socialize grocery stores, for Christ's sake. Gary and Sylvia Anderson, yep, they did UFO, they did Space 1999, and several other things back then. And that first season of Space 1999 was really good. Second season was okay. It was good too. They tried to recreate it, and I don't know, it got a little goofy, but it was still good sci-fi. Thing that got me about the Andersons, what was important to them was everything looked real, and they did model work. All the ships were models, and they all moved around, and they would take the pieces and they would build the ships. Like, I don't know, it was crazy. I had an Eagle when I was a kid. I had the Eagle model, and I had the full size one. It was like 3 foot long, this big Eagle model, and the sides come off, and there was all kinds of stuff it did. I love that thing. Oh yeah, there you go. Curtis Lewa had a radio show after Rush. Up there he did. He wasn't on down here, but yeah, I'm sure he did up there. Yeah, I think Mom Dami's going to take New York. Now, let me tell you guys something. That's terrible for New York City. It's terrible. But it's one of the best things that could ever happen to the Republican Party. There's a lot of crazy bad things happening right now, but they vicariously tend to want to help the Republican Party. I hate to say it's the same thing with Charlie Kirk's assassination. It was a terrible, horrible, disgusting thing. It was a bleak day in our history, but that has created a movement like never seen before, and that's actually what that man did that day, and killing him has actually created this large and crazy movement right now that's taken our schools back all over the country. And it's things like that, you know. And this thing with the mayoral race in New York, they're gonna elect a commie. He's gonna go in there and do some really asinine things. He's gonna go in there and be a real idiot stick. You know he is. He's gonna go in there and be a real idiot stick, and there's nothing that's gonna save him. He's gonna screw it up, and it's going to be good for the Republican Party. Just like so many other things that seem really bad at the time, but end up actually being good for the Republican Party in the long run. So just keep that in mind. He is probably going to be elected, but it's not the end of the world. It really, truly is not the end of the world. It's actually kind of good for the party. So just let it fly. Just let it go. It's going to happen. I don't think they're wanting Curtis Lewa to drop out so that Cuomo has a shot. And I'm like, what? No. Cuomo's just as bad, except he's not a communist. He's just a hair-sniffing liberal. Hold on. What, Ed? What's wrong, buddy? I heard you yelling out there. What's going on? Come on, you haven't seen everybody in a while. Look who it is, guys. It's Edward Earl. His name is Ed Earl. He's my steel gray. Isn't that right, buddy? He sleeps with me every night, right next to my pillow. He's become Daddy's little boy. Isn't that right? Yeah. Yeah, did you go over and see, yeah. Go over and see Mama Bleeper. My cats mostly get along. They really do. They love on each other. They lick each other. I got a few that don't much like each other, like Shadow doesn't like certain cats. But they get along okay. Ed gets along with all the cats. He's very mild-mannered. All right, let's see here. Well, a tropical storm anyway. The 11 o'clock advisory is about to come out, but I wasn't expecting a change. Let's see. Yeah, the 11 p.m. advisory just dropped. and it is Tropical Storm Melissa. 50-mile-an-hour winds. Hi, Eddie. 50-mile-an-hour winds and a tropical storm at this point. Forecast to be a hurricane in about 3 or 4 or 5 days. It's got a lot of vertical wind shear right now, so it is going to form up, but it's going to take a little time. Isn't that right, Ed? You know what he wants. I don't have to tell you guys, you know. He wants me to go to bed. That's what he's telling me right now. Come on now, let's go to bed. Let's go to bed. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in New York. Yeah, he wants to go to bed. That's what he wants. He doesn't want to sit out here. He doesn't want to hang out. He wants me to go to bed. Oh God. Oh, Kitty. Oh. Well, there you go, a little musical interlude for you. I love that song. Gets me in the mood. Gets me in the mood for politics. Oh, goodness. Look, Sue, we mentioned that the other day. Trey come on and we're like, he says, I got 2 breaking news stories. He goes, number 1, Memdami, I think, is going to end up winning in New York. He said, breaking news story number 2, realtors, get your shit ready. Because they're coming, man. They're coming. They're moving here so fast we can't even get them in places. They're building these apartment complexes at an alarming rate. They're building them everywhere. They're ripping down shopping centers to build multifamily housing at this point. It's crazy. I'm very shocked, to be honest with you, at how much that multifamily shit's going in. Lots of neighborhoods, lots of multifamily, lots of single family, but yet a cookie cutter, inside a gated community type of thing. Just lots of that going in down here. The growth down here, it's just nuts. I don't even know how to quantify it. But they're building. Every contractor here is booked out 3 years. You can't get work. You want to build something, forget it. Well, is it ruining Florida? I don't know, because here's the thing. Yes, in part of me wants to say you're right, because I think you're right. Part of me says you're right. But here's the other half of this. Here's the other half of this, okay? They retire from up there. They bring those big fat union pensions from up there. They bring them down here and they spend it down here. They come down here, they do things here, they spend their money here, they leave their money here. And that's why we are doing so well here in Florida. We have no debt, local, state, no debt, none. And we have no income tax here, no state income tax, no county income tax. 6% sales tax, that's it. And they're talking now about reducing our property taxes or maybe even eliminating them. They're talking about going to like a 12-cent tax and getting rid of our property tax. Look, the Republicans here in Florida, they are really thinking outside the box right now. We're looking at completely new ways to do government down here. It's great. It's the kind of out of the box thinking that we really need right now. So is it ruining Florida? In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. I kind of like it because you know what? Between the gerrymandering that the Republicans have now finally started doing and the redistricting, reshuffling that's going to happen after the census in 5 years, we've got those two things coming up. One beginning of next year when all this gerrymandering is over and we figure out where we're going to end up. I think Florida's going to pick up 4, 5, 6 more seats there, plus the congressional seats. I think we're going to pick up 3, 4, 5 more there. I really do. I think we're going to get 2 from New York. They're all moving here, and we used to think they're all going to move here and turn Florida blue. We couldn't be more wrong. They're all moving here, and they're red when they arrive. They are done with that shit up there. They're done with it. They don't want no more of it. They come down here, they're ready to be Florida. They're ready to have the most conservative governor in the state. They're ready to have a state that works well and taxes less. And what we found is all these people moving here from New York, they are the conservatives, or they're recently converted to being conservative because of the shit they see up there and the bastion that they see down here. Yeah, well, every place is getting expensive. That's relative. Our prices down here, comparatively speaking, are still right where they've always been. New York is twice as much than us, for instance, for a pack of smokes. The prices in Florida have gone up kind of with everyone else. The only thing that's drove us up a little artificially is we've raised our minimum wage $1 a year for quite a few years now. And that's starting to have a real negative impact on our like fast food prices and things like that. So there is that. That was done by voter mandate. That was not the government though. They might eliminate property taxes. I don't know. I think that they should, if maybe for residential, the government does need money to operate. God knows it's hard for me to even say that out loud, but the government does need money to operate. They do. So we got to get it from somewhere. If you eliminate the property tax, you have to do something. Like we're looking at things like take the sales tax from 6.5% up to 12%. And that should be enough that we can eliminate residential property taxes. Not commercial, but residential property taxes. So yeah, but there's a lot of really cool things that can be done out there. And while these blue states are sitting around and dying on the vine, states like mine are actually looking to innovate. Right, Ed? You look really cool in that purple light. I like that. Yeah. He doesn't come in that much. The cats don't come. Normally all the computers are on and broadcasting. They're all off right now except this one. But normally they're all up and broadcasting. And these guys come in and walk all over the keyboards and take them all offline. And so I don't... I don't let them in here all that much. Only on occasion. Alright, so let's do a real quick one. The government shutdown today reaches 21 days. Bipartisan talks have stalled. Let's qualify once again. This is a Democrat-led shutdown. That the Democrats were offered a clean CR by the Republicans, a completely clean continuing resolution by the Republicans that didn't change a single thing that we're doing right now, and the Democrats won't sign it. They're being absolute pricks about it. They're being juvenile about it, and I hope that the Republicans just stay the course. I've already heard they're looking at some negotiating and stuff. I don't want any negotiating. Hold firm. Lay everybody off. Send them all packing down the road, and just keep the government shut down as long as it takes to get these Democrats to bend over. Because I wouldn't even talk to them. I wouldn't even answer the phone when these pricks call. The Federal Appeals Court has now finally approved Trump's National Guard deployment to Portland. The Ninth Circuit Court overturned the lower court's block, allowing up to 2,000 troops to secure federal facilities and do other tasks amidst the unrest with ICE. It's kind of hard to do this when you stand right in front of the screen. Could you stand over here, maybe? Civil liberties advocates plan further appeals, decrying its militarization. Deployment could start within days, and now he's talking about doing the same thing in San Francisco. No King protests. We talked about this. I think the numbers are high. They said 2,700 venues, 7 million participants. I think it's a bit exaggerated, but they did have a lot. I will say, I'm not going to bullshit. It's a lot. They had a lot of people. There was several of them that Philadelphia shocked me. There was probably 40, 50,000 people there. Of course, they said there was like 1 million people there, and I'm like, come on, whatever. Yeah, it's a little crazy. There you go, Dominic. Anything we can do to get taxes down, make them spend more wisely, quit throwing money at everything. Tuberculosis cases remain low, but dormant threat looms. There was 10,000 cases of tuberculosis in the United States in 2024, making it a relatively rare, despite being the world's deadliest infectious disease. The bacteria can lie dormant for years, evading detection until symptoms appear, complicating early intervention. Health officials urge increased screening in high-risk groups amid global rises post-pandemic. I think that's 10,000 cases worldwide, which makes it, that's very minuscule. Still significant, but minuscule, if you know what I mean. The Trump administration is now pushing to end quarterly earning reports for companies. The proposal shifts the biannual releases, aiming to reduce short-term pressure and foster long-term investor strategies. Evidence suggests the change would benefit firms by curbing volatile stock swings tied to frequent disclosures. Public companies required to report quarterly since 1930s. Again, he's trying to deregulate all this bullshit regulation that we have both through tax code, corporate code, and everything else. It's just too much. And we got to, and this is another thing where we've got to just get rid of this. It's just a waste. Philadelphia has seen a large drop in crime, which is interesting. because they haven't gone there yet. But I think a lot of it is because the ICE raids are getting rid of a lot of the criminals. I also believe that it's right next to DC, and and there's a stabilizing force going on up there right now. Okay, I guess that's about it here. Okay, that's about what I have, guys. I'm coming up on 2 hours. I'm going to give you guys just a second in the chat room to put in anything else, any last minute mentions, any last final comments, and I'm going to call it a night. Ed is really wanting me to go to bed, and so I have to do what Ed says, because after all, he is Ed, right? It's a cat named Ed. What's up? I was going to name him Earl Grey, and that's when Carlotta got the idea to call him Ed Earl, named after the sheriff in Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Yes, Ed's the boss. No problem. I love it. I do. I enjoy this every night, guys. It's like hanging out with friends, you know. No, I haven't bought. I'm going to be at the cabin Halloween night, and there won't be any kids coming up my mountain. So, but I still will probably buy a bag or two for me to. I'll usually buy a bag or two of the 2 or 3 things I really like, and then just throw them somewhere because they're individually wrapped, and I can eat on them for a month or two. That's where Halloween candy works great for me, because I don't eat a lot of candy, but I like to take my 1 or 2 favorites and just stick them in the cabinet, and then I have them in there. You ready for bed? He will run ahead of me when I leave here. I'll gather my stuff. I'll shut everything off. He'll stand there and patiently wait. It's like, you could have shut things off, but no. Ed's the name of a horse. I know. It's also the name of a gray cat. He'll sit here and wait for me to shut everything off. And then when I open the door, he'll take off running towards the bedroom. And then he'll go to the bedroom door and turn around and wait for me there. And he'll sit there. And when I walk in and go down the hall, he's literally sitting there like, right over here, I'm waiting. Let's go. And then as soon as I get in there, take my clothes off, lay down in the bed, and I get the covers pulled up on me, and that's when the biscuits begin. And there has to be biscuits. There's biscuits, flaky biscuits, buttermilk biscuits, the little ones, the big ones. He makes biscuits. This cat makes more biscuits. How can you make that many biscuits when you don't even have thumbs? I don't know. But he's constantly making biscuits. Every night, roll after roll of biscuits. And it's a little, what are you doing? It's a little crazy. So we got to go in there and get these biscuits out of the way so we can both get some sleep. We're going to do biscuits. Why don't you go say hi to Mom Lee. I don't think he realizes she's in here. For all he knows, she's dead. I don't know if he even knows she's in here. There you go. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name's Ian. This is Starship Adventures, and this has been the Sights and Sounds of Earth right here on YouTube on Starship Adventures channel, and we are live every night at 9 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll see you guys next time. This is Starship Studios in North Fort Myers signing off for the evening. Good night, everybody. Have a safe tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow night at 9 p.m. 7 threes, everybody. 7 threes.